How James Charles is weird. Everybody thought that the next time they heard the news about James Charles, it would be something positive and heartwarming. However, many were shocked to see leaked messages from him to a random guy. Fans were reacting right away, saying that James has put himself again in the spotlight for the wrong reasons. Well, there's nothing wrong with sending messages to people he likes, but what's cringy and awkward is that James' intention was not reciprocated by the guy. Fans felt bad for him and would agree that the whole situation was uncomfortable and degrading. This had happened to James a few years ago, but it looked like he had not learned from that awful experience. In 2021, two guys publicly claimed that they had inappropriate conversations with James while they were underage, causing a major public reaction. Of course, he apologized for his behavior in a video and said, "It sucks and it's ridiculously embarrassing to admit this, but I think I have to, and that is that I'm desperate. I also have already started asking for proper identification from every single guy that has either reached out or that I was speaking to, and will continue doing so for the rest of time." He also admitted in the video that he used social media to find guys, saying, "I had the mentality that I could reach out to literally anybody and use my Explore page and For You page as a dating app, and eventually I would just happen to find the right person. But that's just not how dating works literally at all." Many of the fans are calling for James to be cancelled from YouTube and other social media platforms. For the past few years, James has been involved in several controversies involving his sexuality and straight guys. He was called gross, weird, or desperate. However, some fans and even James said that many of these guys exposing his supposedly private messages were either lying or using him to gain fame. James could be right because he was so famous then. Now, a TikTok user has come out and shown the whole world his private conversations with James. It quickly went viral, and fans could not stop talking about it. A TikTok user named David at Stoughton posted alleged direct messages and video messages from James. According to Tommy Gabriel, who compiled David's accusations in a Twitter thread before removing some of the videos, James reportedly contacted David on TikTok, requesting to verify his age. Once James was able to confirm that David was over 18, they allegedly moved their conversations to Instagram's vanish mode. Many fans found this ridiculous because James should not outright believe any guy saying they are over 18 unless he showed or sent his driver's license. James should know by now that people will do everything to get a shot at fame. Also, people don't care how many lies they're telling on the internet as long as they catch the attention of everybody. Fans were also saying that James should stop doing this kind of thing when looking for a boyfriend, real or fake, because people would only take advantage of this situation. People would just bait him, reply to his messages, screenshot them, and tell everyone what James did. Plus, the way James sounded when he was looking for a potential boyfriend was like he was in the hiring process for a job or doing a business deal. It was too impersonal and too cold. Yes, he was looking for a fake boyfriend, but he offered no compensation for it. But it seemed illegal if he gave them payment for their services. In the messages, James was looking for someone who was 6'2", loved escape rooms, horror movies, cuddling, a big has armpit hair, is willing to do occasional FaceTime, and has a salary of $0. He also mentioned in the messages that the perks would include having a cute boyfriend with a great personality and a big behind, living rent-free in a $10 million house, exciting travel opportunities, and more. Now back to the messages. James allegedly discussed the requirements and benefits of dating him, describing it as a really lucrative role. David then shared two videos, one in which James appeared to try to persuade David to FaceTime him, and another in which James appeared to admit that he knew David was straight. Fans felt bad for James because it looked like he was desperate to have a boyfriend now. He was willing and okay with spending his time and having intimate moments with a random guy he found on the internet. If you could recall, James said before that he would stop using social media to find guys because of his unfortunate experience. His messages were leaked to the public to gain attention or 15-minute fame. In July 2021, James addressed some issues about talking to guys online.
I was allowing myself to be so easily accessible to literally anybody who wanted to give me attention and have a conversation for 5 minutes because I was so delusional in thinking that the conversation can't hurt, maybe it'll actually lead to me finding, the one. When in reality, of course, statistically that does make sense. If you talk to more people, it, I guess, increases your chances of being able to find a potential partner, but at the same time, I wasn't realizing that that also increases my chances of finding somebody not great that doesn't want to talk to me for the right reasons and that might lie or take advantage of me. And that is nobody's fault other than my own. At this point, dare I even say, like, a meme to post your experience talking to James Charles. Now, once again, I recognize that this is my own fault. I wish more than anything I could go back in time and stop myself from making all those jokes about straight guys years ago and talking about dating and how I was single and how I wanted a boyfriend so badly. Like, I wish more than anything that I kept that private.
People were skeptical and wanted more proof that the messages were really from James before making a judgment. They were aware that things can be faked and needed more evidence. David then provided screen recordings of videos that James had sent on Instagram to confirm that their conversation was real. In one scene of the video, James was saying,
"So obviously being that you are straight, I would assume that you don't know a lot about like the gay community."
In another video, James was trying so hard to convince David to have a FaceTime with him, but he declined. Then James sent him illicit photos when David didn't agree to send him a selfie. In the video, James was saying,
"So if I'm being like, oh my god, David, you're annoying," over text, right? You don't know if I'm saying like, "Oh my god, David, you're being annoying," or like, "Oh my god, David, you're being annoying," or like, "Oh my god, David, you're being annoying." Because all three of those are completely different like emotions that you cannot see through text. You only get to actually experience those through a FaceTime call or through being in person. Even over the phone, you still miss out on things because you're missing somebody's facial expressions, right? So because you refuse to hang out with people or because you refuse to FaceTime, you're not allowing people to actually get to know you as like a human being. And that's a massive, massive problem whenever it comes to being in a relationship with somebody. You cannot fall in love with somebody simply just from text.
The vibe of the video was like James urging him to get on FaceTime because it was not just possible to fall in love with him through texting. However, perhaps David felt that James asking him for a FaceTime or a selfie was just too much if he was looking for a fake boyfriend with no compensation. James may have thought that what he was doing was harmless or that it was just his way of flirting, and this is what many fans believe. James was just flirting with someone he liked, but it was used against him. One Twitter user said, "James Charles is by no means a perfect individual, but everything in this thread shows two adults flirting with each other. The desperate reach to say James is making straight men uncomfortable is just regurgitating anti-gay stereotypes." There were some who speculated that David only engaged with James for clout and to go viral given James' history with men before. Others also pointed out that David only revealed his side of the conversation and didn't give any proof that he also communicated with James. It was possible that David was also interested in James' offer. If not, he was clearly after James' fame. One fan tweeted, literally, "I don't like James, but these guys are having full conversations with him, knowing he's flirting and then pretending they don't know why he's messaging them." Another person said, "No, I 2000% believe straight men are using James Charles for clout, because look at how y'all eat it up every time." One fan wrote, "I'm actually so bored of straight people using James Charles as their homophobia hall pass. If you're so unsettled by him, literally, why are you talking to him? Cringe head." It looked like there were a number of people who defended James on this issue. It's just sad that there are people out there who would do anything for clout, even at the expense of someone's reputation. But there were still many people who criticized James for doing this. One person wrote on Twitter saying, "It makes me laugh how James Charles has had people post screenshots of him flirting with them in DMs, etc., and blasting his private conversations with them like literally 10 times. And he still continues to slide into guys' DMs. Like at this point, have you learned nothing?" Another person commented saying, "Then he wants to blame people using him for clout, yet he uses social media as dating sites hoping his influencer status will work, flaunting the perks of being his BF but everyone else is only clout chasing. Yeah, okay, he's beyond fake." Fans were saying to James that he should stop doing this before it gets out of hand. He should think about his safety and name before engaging in this kind of conversation. Again, there's nothing wrong with looking for a boyfriend online, but James should keep reminding himself that by doing this, he's putting himself in the middle of a firing squad. He made it so easy for other people to target him and use him for publicity. James admitted before that he was desperate to have a boyfriend, but he should think a million times first. Finding someone is never easy for everyone. So what do you think about this issue? Do you feel bad for James? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Stay tuned for more interesting videos. Are you not entertained? If you are, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel.